Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Elena and here I talk about stuff that I read. Today let's talk about the books that I read in May and the books that I tried to read in May. May was kind of a weird month reading wise. It was a really busy month. There was my birthday and Mother's Day and we went on vacation. I also had the most DNFs I think I've ever had in a month. Basically, these are the books that I read or started, and there's one other that I read on my Kindle. I started the month off with I Who Have Never Known Men. I was really looking forward to this. This book is actually written in the 90s, and I hadn't heard of it before, but it was all over the shelves at my local bookstore. So I looked it up, and it had great reviews, so I was really curious to read it. I was curious to try some different genres, and this one is kind of like a fiction, dystopian, not quite sci-fi type read. This was one of the two books that we read for one of my book clubs. When I finally started opening this book and decided to read it, the first thing I learned is that it's actually by a Belgian author and the original language of this book is in French. I wish I had known that in advance because I wouldn't have bought it in English. I speak French and Russian, and I would prefer to read a book in its original language if I can. I think translation always takes away a little bit of the original. You can't fully convey the meaning the way that you can in the original language. So after lots of searching, I found it in French as well. In French, it's called Moi qui n'ai pas connu les hommes. It's been a while since I read like a book for grown-ups in French. I read lots of kids' books in French every day. And although I'm confident in my French, this book was tough for me in its original language. I got about halfway through before I switched to the English version. I feel bad. I really wanted to stick it out and I really wanted to give it a shot, but it was just too difficult and I wasn't enjoying the read. Funny enough, it was difficult in English as well. I think the main trouble with this book is that it's like one giant run-on sentence. There's no break. It's like a stream of consciousness for the entire duration of the book. There are no chapters. I like structure. I like chapters. I like the division of thoughts. So this one was a tough read, but it was very interesting. After finally getting through it, it really gives you a lot to think about. Don't come here for action or for a lot of plot. There really isn't that much happening in this book. What it really does is make you think about the human experience and what constitutes the human experience. The book is about 40 women locked up in a cage underground. They don't know why they're there, who locked them up, how they got there. Then one day they escape, and it's their life after escape. I don't want to give too much away, but it's really just about our relationships with others and the emotions that we have and how they contribute to who we are. I think it was really good as a book club pick. And despite how tough it was for me to get through it, it's still a 5-star read. The second book that I read was another book club pick for that same book club, and that's the new Abby Jimenez book, Say You'll Remember Me. I really like Abby Jimenez. I think she has a way of really getting you to feel deeply. This wasn't my favorite of her books. It's a solid 4-star read for me. I think any book that can make me feel deeply is well written and it is at least a 4-star read. This one is less about romance and more about family with a romantic subplot. I think the part about family was more interesting than the love story. After this, we went on vacation, and if you've ever gone on vacation with little kids, you'll know that it's not really relaxing reading time. I did read a little bit on the plane, but I didn't read at all when we were at our destination. We went to an all-inclusive vacation in Mexico. I spent all of my time making sandcastles and playing in the pool. I did not read. By the time my kids were in bed at the end of the night, I was also going to sleep. We went on vacation with 2 other families, and we're very close with those families, and our kids are the same age. So my husband thought it would be funny to get me a book for this vacation. It was The Retirement Plan. It's about 3 wives plotting to kill their husbands. Honestly, brownie points for this idea because I think it's hilarious. But I DNF'd this book. I started reading it on the plane when we were going there, and it just made me really mad because the husbands, they kind of suck, but like they don't deserve to die. So it just made me mad. I don't know. I didn't want to read it. The women in this book have been married for decades. They have families with their husbands. And so I just don't see any legitimate purpose for killing these husbands, even if they kind of suck. It just wasn't my favorite. The next book was kind of similar in style to I Who Have Never Known Men, and that is The Handmaid's Tale. I've been excited to read this for a while. I have never watched the show, but I kind of know the idea, so I went into it pretty much blind. I know that it's a dystopian fiction about handmaids who are employed by families to have babies. This is a pretty thick book, but honestly, not that much happens in it. I still found it really captivating and very interesting. Solid 5-star read. This book really makes you reflect on our role in society and the importance of love and family. There's a note from the author, Margaret Atwood, at the beginning of this book, which I found to be a fantastic intro. Solid read, would recommend. Next up, we have my top read of the month and essentially what put me in a reading slump and ruined the rest of the month for me. When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. This was from my Aardvark book club subscription. I've lately just started getting into horror, and this is so good. It's about the power of fear. It has supernatural elements, sci-fi elements, and it's like an action movie. There's so much happening all the time, and it's such a page turner. It's so good. After this, I really struggled to get through books for the rest of the month. Next up, unpopular opinion, Road of Bones. I couldn't do it. I just could not do it. I really tried, but I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about the story. I wasn't looking forward to reading it. I got over 100 pages into this book, but I really forced myself into it, and I'm keeping the bookmark in here in case I change my mind and want to give it another shot in the future, but this just was not for me. The reviews are so good for this online. I had really high hopes. And maybe going into it with expectations is the issue. I seem to enjoy books a lot more when I go into them blind. Then I thought maybe I just need a little palate cleanser. I started the Spicy Mom book club pick for the month, which was Red Thorns by Rina. This is a dark romance, and normally that is a genre that I enjoy, but I just found this book to be so poorly written. It was so frustrating. There was no chemistry between the characters. The dialogue was annoying. The characters were annoying. And I DNF'd at 78%. I just couldn't do it anymore. It was getting so repetitive and frustrating, and I was like, I hate this. When we met up for book club, it looks like nobody really enjoyed this read that much, so maybe it was part reading slump, part bad book. I had the girls tell me what happens at the end of the book, and I have no regrets about not finishing it. It has a cliffhanger ending, so a couple of the girls read book 2 as well, and they described the plot in detail, so now I never have to read it. Next up, Immaculate Conception, which was one of the Aardvark book club picks for last month. I picked this book because of the little blurb that I read about it, that it's about art, friendship, codependency between two women in their friendship, and I thought that was really interesting. Overall, I really enjoyed this read. I give it a solid 4 stars, and the reason that it's 4 and not 5 is because it feels like it's missing a little something. The ending was a little bit disappointing for me. I just thought that there was going to be a little bit more to the story. It is a really interesting take on toxic female friendship. It has a dystopian setting, and I thought the part about art was super interesting. For the last book in May, I read Silver Elite by Dani Francis. This was from my Book of the Month box last month. There were a lot of issues with this pick last month at Book of the Month. A lot of people were not happy about the $3 surcharge for the sprayed edges and the quality of said sprayed edges. Book of the Month also had printing issues with this book. Some people got this book weeks late. And then I was seeing a lot of mediocre reviews. I think I went into this book with very low expectations because I had seen that people weren't loving it. I knew that if I didn't read this now, it would go to the bottom of my TBR once my new Book of the Month box arrived. Honestly, I really enjoyed this read. Maybe because my expectations were really low. It's also about like a kind of dystopian fantasy universe where some people have psychic abilities and some don't. And it's kind of like one group against the other. There's almost kind of like an enemies to lovers trope, and there surprisingly is some spice, which is not bad. I thought this was a really fun read. It gets 4.5 stars from me. The reason it's not 5 is because the ending, I was like, wait, what? And I know this is book 1 in a series, but I'm not exactly punching the air waiting for book 2. I'm not sure if I'll continue with the series. Maybe I'll take an interest when it comes out, but as of right now, I don't really care if I read book 2 or not. Have you read any of these books? I would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Check back in soon for more book chats.